the, sorry, where am I? What am I doing? Sorry, I picked up the wrong paper. Right, apologies, none. So, it has been moved and, no, sorry, we're going to, before we go on to the infrastructure strategy, we're going to tidy up and congratulations to the sharp-eyed people, and chocolate has been awarded by Vicky Buck for picking up one of them. So we're going to use a standing order, which is alteration by resolution at same meeting. So because the meeting was adjourned, we are still in the same meeting. And so if you look up on the screen, you'll see that we're replacing, bring forward the funding for Section 2 of the Heathcote Expressway by 1 year from 2024-25 and 25-26 to 23-24 and 25-26. So it was just the second year it had been missed off, the bring forward, and so it was just an error. And the Southwest Leisure Centre and Library, 2019-20, it's the same thing, 2020-21 needs to be brought forward to 2018-19 and 2019-20. And of course we've made the point on more than one occasion that if things get resolved more quickly than that, it can be brought forward again, and so that brings it forward into the financial year that begins 1 July. Sorry?
Yeah, just a year.
Instead of 21st one?
25-26
year, it's coming from 25-26, it's been 23-24 and 24-25. Yeah. Thanks. Sorry. Sorry. And then we're amending address the impacts of decisions on our climate change commitments, which is just taking the where relevant phrase out, which was actually a phrase from a previous part of the resolution that got left in by accident. So I'll move those alterations. Do I have a seconder? Andrew. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you. With sufficient majority to carry the day. So thank you very much for that. So now we move on to adopting the infrastructure strategy, and we have we've got a latest version of it. This is the final version, and thanks to another set of eagle eyes down the back there, which has highlighted the fact that we... Can somebody point out the page? Was it 85, 95, 85? What? 95? Yeah, 95. 10.96. That's 96. So 96 will now read, the second paragraph on environment will read, Christchurch has chosen to be a leader in climate change and the Mayor has signed the Global Covenant of Mayors. So thank you for highlighting that. That was written as an aspiration of something I was going to do, but I've actually done it already. So that's tidied that up. So that's the infrastructure strategy, and can I just thank staff for the incredible amount of work that they did rewriting this in the time that they did, and then getting it to the Office of the Auditor General and or the Audit Office, and having it returned in time for today. I really appreciate the effort that went into it. Sorry, Phil.
Thanks, Leanne. I just wondered the reason for, under the key changes for the coastal pathway, which have increased to 24 million, increased by 18 million. In the previous version, I'm pretty sure it was 13 million. So just wonder what the reason for the increases?
Lynette's just gone out.
It's on page 8, sorry.
Because it seems that there's been 2 million added in, which we're at a loss to understand why, but the rest is inflation because it's been moved right up to the end of the 10-year plan. So the 15 with inflation takes it up to 18, but what we don't understand is where the 2 million has come from, and she's checking with those who are closer to it to find out.
So,
We think it's a staff.
sorry, I'm not sure. Does that make any difference to the content of the?
I don't think it makes a lot of difference. It's so far out that I think it's something that if it isn't correct can be fixed under Carol's authority. So,
It had been 13.
yes, we always add inflation. What we don't understand is where the two came
Another
from.
two.
But if it's 10 years out in the plan, we always add inflation, otherwise it understates the actual cost.
Yeah. Okay, so, so do we just want to, is that something that you can adjust with the overall resolution of an adjustment, because it's been highlighted here?
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, so if people are satisfied with that, it can be adjusted if there's an error in there?
Staff are revising, it's not going to affect the financial strategy and
It won't, because it's so far out in the plan. And I think the purpose of putting it there was to ensure that it was available if there was the funding made available through the
National Transport Plan.
Yeah. Yanni?
Just a question of clarification. I know we've put additional money in to look at our infrastructure. For example, just take roading. On page 29 of the infrastructure, does that now respond to the additional funding that we've put in, or is that still going to be revised? Just if you look at the 4 graphs that show, in 2029, the road's getting worse by 2%.
Page 29.
Just page 29 of the infrastructure strategy.
Sorry, Yanan, can you just repeat it?
Oh, yeah. So, as you know, through the submissions and through our deliberations, we've put additional funding in to deal with some of our infrastructure in response to the request that people had made. And I just wanted to check in terms of the infrastructure strategy that we're now approving, whether the graphs on page 29 now reflect that additional spend, or whether they still need to be revised based on that additional spend being approved.
That additional spend is only working to get us to that graph.
Right.
So no, they don't need to change, because 2017 is what we're at now. That's the current carriageway condition that we've got, and 2029 is what we're working to.
Right.
So it just gets us there a bit faster.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit confused. I thought what we'd done is try to put enough money in so that our road condition didn't get worse. So it wasn't.
So when we've discussed this before, we've said prudent asset management is to address 6 to 8% of your network, and you need to add an additional $4 million of subsidy to get your extra percentage. We've put 3 in.
Right.
So we're getting towards it. We're getting more done,
Okay.
but we're not getting. It's not as high as.
Okay. And
So
sorry,
it's still going to get you.
just to clarify, that graph for 2029, before we made the changes to the LTP in terms of extra money for infrastructure, what was the red box?
I have no idea. Sorry.
Great.
I don't know.
That's okay.
Yes, it has improved. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's something that we're going to have to continually come back to.
Yes.
We know that, and once we've gone through the levels of service in the post environment, the post LTP environment, this is something that we really want to focus on. And once we know what the government funding arrangements are going to be, that's going to give us so much more. I think every council's been in this position of not knowing what's coming. And having to sign off their LTP before we've got the GPS signed off and before we've got the FAR rates, so we've just got a little bit, we'll have some more flexibility, I think, when we get to the annual plan, and we'll be able to revisit this. Yes, Pauline.
Yeah, just a little question about the asset types. So on page 118, when you're, and this is fantastic to see all this listed like this, in the cycleways, you mention on-road lanes and shared paths. So the on-road lanes are the painted lines, I assume,
Yes,
and the shared paths are, because I know we have shared paths and separated cycle ways, but are they all wrapped up in the one? So you've got 115 kilometres of shared paths and 225 kilometres of on-road.
they have wrapped it up in the one year, which is not technically,
So it's in the shared paths
in the shared
includes the
paths.
separated cycle
Yeah.
ways. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Very good. Okay, well, I'm happy to move the adoption of the infrastructure strategy, seconded by Sarah. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you. And now now I will move that we receive the audit report, adopt the long-term plan, which includes all of the information and underlying documents, the Mayor's recommendations, attachments. Now, but there is an amendment to Carlene's one. So, yeah, because Carlene's report or memorandum sits in as an attachment to my attachment. And so she's added in hers, support the establishment of the Banks Peninsula Geopark. And I've already written a letter of support. In fact, the Canterbury mayors have written a letter of support for the Banks Peninsula Geopark as well. So we're certainly undertaking that work. So, but to have it highlighted, it was called out during the submission process. So I think that's the appropriate place to put it. All of the attachments, including the audit report referred to in Resolution 8. So I'll move that, seconded by Mike Davidson. I'll put that motion. All those in... No, we'll get to that. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. So then I'll move that we authorise the CFO to make amendments required to ensure that the published LTP aligns with Council's resolutions and to make any other non-material changes that may be required. Do I have a seconder for that? Andrew. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And then I'll move that we authorise the CFO, etc., to borrow in accordance with the policy, etc., grants an exemption in respect of council-controlled organisations, allocates funding from the Capital Endowment Fund as per the attachment. And do I have a seconder for that? Not up to the reach yet. Andrew, I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Now, then I'll move the rates one, but I've had a number of people who want to vote, have their vote recorded on the Special Heritage Cathedral targeted rate. So, so if I could have a seconder for the resolution, Andrew. So at this stage I've got councillors Johansson, Swiggs and Templeton, was it? Yeah, and Davidson thought was the case. Is there anyone else that wants to have their vote recorded against the Special Heritage Cathedral targeted rate? All right, well, I'll put that one separately then. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And I'll put the whole resolution.
Just because we've got different numbers than what you've got, can you just scroll up? There was another one that I just wanted to see further up. Just keep going.
So the uniform, no, we've done the rest. So
just the Capital Endowment Fund.
We've done that.
When was that done?
We just did allocated funding from the Capital Endowment Fund.
All right. It's just that was one that was flagged previously being some of us wanted our votes recorded against.
The Capital Endowment Fund.
remember it's outside of the policy and it's going towards Christchurch NZ, and there was a big discussion about some of us didn't actually agree with that money being used to go to Christchurch NZ.
All right. Okay, so sorry, I missed that one, and I've been really careful to allow people to do that. So could we just go back to item 13, and I'll deal with that as a separate vote. So is there anyone else that wants to have their vote recorded against the allocation of funding from the Capital Endowment Fund as set out in attachment N? Right. Okay, I'll just, that is set out in attachment N, isn't it? Sorry, was it an attachment N? It is, isn't it?
Did you get it out in the recommendation?
Help me. It is set out in. It is, is there an easy way for me to vote, to put a vote against the Christchurch NZ? Because I assume it's just the Christchurch NZ one for you too, Yanni? Does it have a number attached to it, is my question. Okay. Okay, so councillors Johansson and Templeton recorded their vote against the allocation to Christchurch NZ from the Capital Endowment Fund. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. Good. Now, so now, but I've got the balance of the rating one to put, have I? Okay, so I'll put that resolution. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.
Is that a no?
Did someone say no?
No.
Oh, yeah. It's all of the rates. Yeah. So you're voting against any rates being applied at all? No, the rights. Okay. So Aaron Keown voted against the rates increase. Right. Just seems so short.
Don't worry about it.
26 minutes. I said 24. All right. The meetings.
Well, can you just clarify the levels of service, which it's hard because we have different resolutions than what you've got, so the numbers don't align.
Sorry, what?
But in terms of the levels of service, is that
sorry, what are you referring to?
the agenda that we're
What?
referring to?
What part of the agenda are you referring to?
Oh, I just wanted to clarify whether the levels of service had been adopted and under what resolution that was on.
It's part of the long-term planning, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you adopt the long-term plan?
Yeah, but I've got we've got we're undertaking a review of all of the levels of service now. So once the LTP was concluded, we're moving into a review of the levels of service.
I'm just trying to see if it's recorded anywhere or...
Yes, it's recorded in my resolution. That we've already passed it. We passed it last Friday, that the council, noting the recommendation of the Mayor's External Advisory Group, requests the Chief Executive to report back by 31 August 2018 with a plan for undertaking a review of levels of service, noting priority areas such as relating to safe and secure drinking water, roads, footpaths and active travel and citizens' participation in decision making, also noting that changes to levels of service that were made in the draft LTP and confirmed as part of the adoption of the LTP will also be part of that review. We've already passed that.
You know, I understand the review, but in terms of adopting the proposed level of service, I can't find any recommendation that does that, but
yes.
Maybe it's just because I'm reading a lot of attachment references.
It's the attachments.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. It's been done.
Right, okay. So on that note, thank you all very much. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.